Hi, Stephen here from Faded Crossings. Have you ever met your Astro Twin or wondered about your Astro Twin? For those who might not know what I'm talking about, your Astro Twin is someone who has the same big three that you do, the same ascendant as you, the same sun as you, and the same moon. Well, I recently, or a while back, did have occasion to meet an Astro Twin of mine. To have a conversation with this person. And at first I was really excited. I was like, greetings, cosmic sibling, like bring it on, a fellow individual who has all of my, main traits. This ought to be a match made in heaven. Well, I was shocked to discover that I found this person to be repugnant, a repugnant dingbatter, in fact. And it got me to thinking, like, Jesus Christ, am I a repugnant dingbatter too? If this person is my universal twin, what does that say about me? And I got to really thinking about it. And, I concluded that maybe because this person and I have two masculine, yang, electric types of signs in our big three, maybe that's why we didn't really get along, why we clashed. There's just too much electricity there. You have two Leos, I guess, sort of pawing around it, circling each other, sizing each other up, and it just didn't work. So maybe if you and your Astro Twin have more yin, magnetic, passive signs in your big three, then maybe that would speak towards a more harmonious type of interchange. Maybe if two triple Scorpios got together, it would be a love fest because they are both used to dealing with the world in the same way. So it got me to thinking about that. Have you ever met anyone with your big three, the same sun, moon, and rising as you? If so, let me know in the comments. I'm really curious about these situations. In other news, I was kind of shocked to discover that a flood of venomous scorpions invaded this town in Egypt called Aswan. Apparently, historic storms in this desert region created torrential downpours, thunderous rains, flash flooding, and this disturbed the habitats of these really super venomous scorpions called Deathstalkers. And these Deathstalkers migrated into the homes of the people of Aswan. Over 500 individuals were stung, and there were some fatalities. And all of this happened about a week prior to the upcoming eclipse in Taurus, happening actually on the 19th, very, very close by. So I wanted to look at the chart of this eclipse set in Aswan to see what on earth in that chart says that there's going to be an invasion of Deathstalker scorpions. Take a look. This is the chart of the lunar eclipse coming up on November the 19th, 2021. Cast for Aswan, Egypt, the location of the scorpion flood. And for now, we'll ignore the fact that Saturn is rising in this sort of a chart, or basically any kind of a chart. Saturn rising by definition is going to promise something a little stressful. And instead, we will focus on the moon, the place of the eclipse, 27 degrees Taurus. The moon is, of course, close to one of the nodes. This is what defines an eclipse in the first place. But what's interesting here is that the moon also rules the sixth house, and scorpions belong to the sixth house. Any animal so small that you cannot ride it belongs to the sixth house. Animals that are big enough to be ridden, such as giraffes, elephants, camels, wildebeest, horses, of course, etc., oxen, they belong to the 12th. But since scorpions are very small, they belong to the 6th, and the moon rules it. This exalted moon, very powerful moon, her closeness to the node simply makes her more powerful. It augments her, blows her up, puffs her up a little bit. And so we're not just talking about any scorpions, but Deathstalkers. In John Steinbeck's novella, The Pearl, poor little Coyotito manages to survive for days after getting bitten by a Mexican scorpion. But these Egyptian Deathstalkers can kill a person in less than an hour. So we have to surmise that the scorpion that bit poor little Coyotito in the pearl was not ruled over or symbolized by a moon in Taurus, an exalted moon. So the Deathstalker is sort of exalted among scorpions. And this moon, the Lord of Scorpions, is posited within the 4th house, the domiciles of the people of Aswan, the actual residences, the mud brick huts of the people. The scorpions are in there. The scorpion content obviously comes from the stellium in Scorpio. You don't have to be the Leo king to get that Scorpio rules over scorpions. They're a natural fit. So the scorpions are symbolized also by Scorpio and the midheaven and Mars and everything. And so these planets in Scorpio are afflicting the side of the eclipse, Taurus, with their opposition ray. Mars is, of course, separating from his opposition with Uranus. And so we might ask the question, is the Scorpion flood a result of the eclipse, which is shown by this whole chart, or is it more the result of the Mars-Uranus opposition? At the time of the Scorpion flood, which was like a week ago, Mars was forming his opposition with Uranus. Well, my thinking is that the Scorpion flood resulted both from the opposition between Mars and Uranus and the eclipse. Even though the Scorpion flood happened a week ago, a week before the eclipse, it can still be attributed to the eclipse as shown by this chart, because the moon rules the scorpions and all arachnids, all insects, and she's in the 4th house. That's kind of a very visible symbol of venomous scorpions in the house. So the eclipse chart is definitely showing this event, and it's showing it a week before the actual eclipse itself. This is not at all uncommon behavior with eclipses, especially lunar ones. They manage to project their meaning and their effects perhaps a week or so before the occurrence of the eclipse itself. That's fairly common behavior in eclipses. And note also, referring back to the intervention of Uranus and all of this and his opposition with Mars, note also that Venus is in a partile trine with Uranus, a very exact trine practically, because Venus is at 12 degrees 18 minutes Capricorn, Uranus is at 12 degrees 11 minutes of Taurus. So they're only 7 minutes apart in their trine. Very powerful. And this is important because Venus is also a symbol of the arachnids, of the Deathstalker scorpions. Because even though the moon rules the 6th house and gets 5 points for that rulership, Venus rules the triplicity of the 6th house and gets 3 points for that. And we note also that the 6th house cusp is in the term of Venus, which gives her an additional 2 points. So Venus and the moon tie in terms of symbolizing the scorpions. And of course, Venus is in the 12th house, hidden in the 12th house. And her trine with Uranus becomes more comprehensible now as something rather disruptive. A little side note, the scorpions invaded Aswan because their homes were destroyed by a torrential downpour of rain and flash flooding. Their mountainous burrows were destroyed. The storm itself brought about the inundation of venomous scorpions. And of course, the storm would be symbolized by all the planets in Scorpio. But more to the point, let's not forget that the 6th is the sign of the scorpions. And so the 4th from the 6th, which would be the 9th, shows the homes of the scorpions. The homes of the scorpions, ruled by Venus in the 12th. The upshot of all this is that we might say that the moon symbolizes the scorpions actually in the homes, whereas Venus shows the scorpions migrating to those homes. The other thing that makes this a teachable moment, as it were, is the idea that the eclipse can generate effects prior to the occurrence of the eclipse. So ask yourself maybe what in the past week has occurred to you that could be attributable to the eclipse. So there you have it. This eclipse also produced other notable events about a week ago. Kind of too disturbing to even get into in any depth. There was a car bombing, for instance, a terrorist incident in London. Other outbreaks of sudden violence, the usual stuff, perhaps given at a bit of a higher pitch because of the eclipse, given more intensity and frequency because of the eclipse. But for most of us, for the rank and file, it should be actually a decent experience. I'm looking forward to it. And obviously, even though the effects are spawned prior to the eclipse, they still are going to produce other events or other major themes in life for several months after the eclipse as well. So examine your chart and see what house 27 Taurus falls in, and see if there's any possibility of an important new beginning or something ending within that house topic. And hope for the best. Be optimistic. I certainly am with eclipses. I would worry about eclipses more if I were royalty. Eclipses are famous for clipping out the influential people. So the rank and file, utility infielders like us, we don't have too much to worry about. Until next time, I hope you have an awesome week. And if you want to reach out to me, the address is steven@fadedcrossings.com.